All right, folks, welcome in. We're back. It is the Last Word on Sports Media podcast. It is good to be back with Mike Gill. I am merely the somewhat capable host, TJ Reeves. Mike Gill has been international man of mystery for like the last couple of weeks on vacation. You are back aboard. I see you in your Phillies garb as we do this live on a Wednesday. Good to be back with you. With everything that has gone on in sports media over the last week, we got a ton to talk about. How are you? Back on the Eastern Time body clock, the American body clock. How are things?
Yep, we're back. We were in Prague, we were in Lisbon, so it was off in Europe, 6-hour differences. But back, kind of in the shake of things. But yes, we have a Phillies watch party coming up for my radio show today, which is happening here soon. So a lot going on.
Yeah, there is a lot. And I know you've got a skedaddle here in a little bit. Love that word. But we've got plenty to go over. So thank you for finding us. If you're on the video show right here via social media and also on Mike's YouTube page, Mike Gill Show YouTube page, or on social media, follow him at Mike Gill Show. Follow me at Buck Sideline Guy, BUC, Buck Sideline Guy. NFL preseason ongoing. We got the regular season coming up. So that's one of my fall gigs to be part of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers radio broadcast. It'll be my 21st season, Mike Gill, to be part of that. So thank you for finding us. Rate us and review us. Also, we're in podcast form on Apple, Spreaker, Spotify. Find Last Word on Sports Media podcast. Shall we get into it? Major League Baseball appears to be on the verge. Speaking of the Phillies, speaking of MLB, they appear to be on the verge of having new broadcast deals. It's been rumored that they have been negotiating with the likes of Apple, Comcast/NBC/Peacock, that's all the same thing, Netflix, and ESPN. So, Mike Gill, let's get into it. Rob Manfred, the commissioner, did say on Sunday night, they were doing the Sunday night baseball game from the Little League World Series in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, that they were close to making some announcements about the deals. Of course, he's saying it on ESPN, which is interesting because they're no longer going to have Sunday night baseball. And I believe you have the breaking news item from the reporter from Yahoo that broke the story. That's Kendall Baker of Yahoo, broke the story on Tuesday night that he has learned that in the new deal, Apple Plus will no longer do Friday nights, that Comcast, NBC, Peacock will pick up Friday night and will also do Sunday night baseball, not necessarily just on NBC, but on maybe USA Network, Mike Gill, on the Peacock app. Netflix will get the Home Run Derby, as had been rumored, for a cost, and that ESPN appears to be buying Major League Baseball TV, MLB.TV, to show all of the local games they can on their apps, on ESPN Plus or on the direct-to-consumer app that launches. What do you make of this, as it appears MLB has their deals here? Any of that surprise you, interest you? What do you think, Mike?
Well, the Apple being out on Friday night, it's not a huge surprise because nobody was watching those games to begin with. So Apple just saying, all right, you know what, we tried. It didn't work. Let's get out of this mix. But the big thing is that people are wondering what was going to happen to Sunday night baseball. NBC Peacock is now in for Friday and Sunday,
right,
which is interesting because they have the NFL on Sunday nights. They have NBA on Sunday nights.
Yep.
So where are they jamming baseball games in? I guess in the summertime, once the NBA is kind of finished, they'll jam some baseball in there, and then they have USA, which I think is being rebranded as USA Sports now, as opposed to the USA Network. So you'll get that. You'll have Peacock. So NBC is now in college football, NFL, NBA, and
NASCAR.
It will be
NASCAR.
in baseball, NASCAR, golf, obviously.
Yep.
Yeah, you've got Notre Dame. So NBC Peacock being a big player all of a sudden, but ESPN. This is an interesting part of the deal. Is we've been hearing for a while that baseball wants to try to get all these RSNs under one umbrella so that you can go and watch them all at one spot. Now, ESPN, who we know, I'm sure you talked about last week, I wasn't here, bought NFL, the Red Zone, so they have that channel now, but not digital.
NFL media, right.
They don't have the digital platform. They only have the linear platform of the Red Zone, but MLB TV will now probably be a part of this new streaming service, which I think is launching tomorrow.
Correct.
The ESPN direct-to-consumer.
Well, we need to clarify one thing. So there's the MLB network, the channel, and they show a bunch of games like you're talking about, linear channel that's on cable TV, it's on direct TV, it's on outlets like Hulu and others. All right, so there's that. What we're talking about is ESPN is buying essentially the streaming service MLB.TV, and they're going to show the local broadcasts of all the Major League Baseball games, including, and this is the maddening thing in my market and in a lot of markets, lift the local blackout. If I am paying ESPN, Disney in some form or fashion, show me the local team. For example, on MLB.TV, if you don't have a FanDuel subscription of some kind, you can't see the local Rays games or the local Braves games or the local pick one, Rangers, whoever else is still doing this with FanDuel Sports. If we can clear all of that up, where if I'm paying ESPN, Disney in some form or fashion, I get to see the local broadcast streaming under this stuff, then I'm all for that. And that appears to be what ESPN is getting out of this. Also, they'll get to continue to show highlights. And I believe, Mike, they're going to continue to do occasional regular season weeknight games like opening day, July 4th, Labor Day, those kind of things, but not the playoffs. So it's interesting who gets what. NBC's the big winner, right? I mean, NBC's going to get 2 standalone opportunities, plus get those wild card games. What do you think?
One of the things that is being buzzed about, and again, as Kendall Baker points out here, by the way, the big scoop here is that Kendall Baker got the scoop over Andrew Marchand, I guess.
Or anybody else at ESPN or anybody other, Ken Rosenthal, any other insider, right?
Now, Marchand is writing about this over at The Athletic as well, and there's some more wrinkles to this, in which ESPN is discussing potentially for their direct-to-consumer, this new platform, having Baseball Tonight possibly come back as like a studio show. Also, they're going to have all these new linear channels. Are we going to be seeing ESPN put out more content now on NFL Network? The Red Zone channel.
Right.
That will probably stay in its form. There's a lot of people who are worried that, like, Stephen A. Smith is going to be screaming on Sunday afternoons when touchdowns are scored, but I don't see that changing in any capacity there. But what is going to be on the NFL Network linear channel during the course of the day? Is ESPN
good question.
On...
Well, look, the bottom line with this deal is ESPN still wants to show highlights, but I don't know that they need a regular highlight show. MLB Network already does that. The highlights are readily available everywhere on YouTube, on social media. I don't know if there's an appetite for that. Just one more quick comment, and then we'll move off this. If you've got any other comments.
I don't know, and we're going to transition into Rich Eisen at some point here. The nostalgia of having him do SportsCenter the other night. You saw so many people from my generation that were like, hey, there is still, if you do it well, if you write well, and you make it fun and make it something that makes me want to watch,
right.
I'll watch the highlights of games I already saw.
Sure.
Just make it entertaining and make it fun.
I would love to know, what did Netflix pay for the home run derby, to only get the home run derby? We don't know that answer. Did they pay $5 million? Did they pay $50 million? I don't know what they paid in this, and we may never know, but let's see if the reporting comes out, because that's a one-night event. That's one thing. That's not a series of things. Go ahead.
Right, but what we do know is that Apple took a bath, and nobody watched those games at all, which is a shame, because they were well-produced, they were well done, the picture was unbelievable, but just couldn't get anybody to watch them.
To get the audience, and that's a danger if you're putting the stuff on Peacock or on the streaming apps. All right, you mentioned Rich Eisen. Let's do that next on the Last Word on Sports Media podcast. He returned to the SportsCenter anchor desk in Bristol in a surreal moment for the first time in 22 years. He got his national start doing ESPN SportsCenter, primarily with Stuart Scott on the late night highlights, late 90s, early 2000s, but it had been since 2003 since he had done an ESPN SportsCenter. He's been with the NFL Network ever since for 22 years. So I think you've got this up on the video here in a second. He did the highlights. It was fun to watch. Again, that the impact of those shows is so much less because the highlights are available everywhere, all over the internet, all over social media. You don't have to tune in to ESPN anymore. Or remember, Mike Gill, CNN Sports Tonight, with Nick Charles and Fred Hickman. You tune in to see the highlights of all the games. You don't have to have it as much. So Rich did the highlights. He did a couple of interviews, and then he did a very neat tribute to Stuart Scott here that you've queued up. The late Stuart Scott, who was his partner for so many years on SportsCenter. Let's see if the audience can't hear this too, as Rich Eisen pointed out after Stuart Scott died from cancer back now some 12 years ago. Here was Rich giving a tribute on Monday night on ESPN, as surreal as all this was. Here it is. Here you go. Here you go.
It has been a blast being here tonight, but listen, we all know there should be someone else right here in this chair next to me. Right there. As he was for my 7 years in the role he referred to as my TV wife. And that's my dear late friend, Stuart Scott, who is indeed looking over my shoulder tonight. I frequently think of Stuart a lot and what he might think of the sports headlines of the day, like, say, Bill Belichick being the head football coach at his beloved school. We used to host sports centers after LeBron's high school games, so what would Stuart think of James still playing at age 40 with 40,000 points? And with all these new crossing of sports TV streams, like, say, ESPN buying NFL Network and partnering up with my daily show, what would it look like if Stuart sat in with, say, Ernie, Shaq, Kenny, and Charles when Inside the NBA comes here to ESPN this fall? I could go on and on because I miss Stuart so very much. He should be in that chair with me, with us tonight.
There you go. There you go. Heartfelt, obviously, from Rich Eisen, and it was neat. It was nostalgic. And ESPN, by the way, has announced, Mike Gill, that they will apparently bring him back on special occasions. Now he's welcomed back in. It's fascinating. He's had a career basically 3 times as long on the NFL Network. The modern fan knows him for the NFL Network and the Sunday morning NFL preview show, their game day morning show. They know him more from that and doing work with the NFL Network. But another thought or two on Rich Eisen?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about this is when SportsCenter was bigger than anything. I mean, you know, the Stuart Scott, Rich Eisen, the Keith Olbermann, Dan Patrick, when SportsCenter had personality. I honestly can't tell you the name of one SportsCenter anchor. Is that bad?
Right. In the present. But the necessity, but look, I mean, we're doing this on video and for the podcast audience, the necessity for it has done this. I mean, it has gone off the cliff. You don't need the highlight show anymore.
You don't need it, but it's still a show.
But Scott Van Pelt has done well with it. Follow up on this, because it's not so much a highlight show as it is a post-game, an analysis show, that kind of thing. What is your thought?
Yeah, no, that's what I was about to say. It's okay, it's not highlights, but you can still have fun with it. You can still make it entertaining. You can still make it something. You know, one of the things, like, we were in college, you'd wake up in the morning and the SportsCenter would be on repeat, and you'd watch it on repeat all 6 times. 6 a.m., 6, 7 o'clock, 8 a.m. And you said, I already saw these highlights, but you just kept watching it. Like,
you were entertained.
So, like, and I get it. Young kids are not watching linear television now. So I get that SportsCenter can't be what it was, but the open of Eisen's SportsCenter from the other night was so well done and so well written that you said, man, I missed that. I missed the way it was written and the way that he nailed the whole thing, and it made you want to watch SportsCenter. Not for, wow, I want to see what happened in this game or that game, because how are they going to produce this show and make it fun? And
he brought personality, and he has name recognition. And again, his daily everything show, the Rich Eisen Show, which is primarily sports, but he has entertainers on, he has celebrities on, he has all kinds of people on. That will be on the new direct-to-consumer app for ESPN.
It will also be on the radio.
On ESPN radio, right? Is your station going to run it there in Atlantic City?
We will be running it. It will be noon to 2 here in the East. Actually, it'll be noon to 3 in the East, but a lot of stations go live starting at 2. So, like my station, for instance, we will carry the Eisen Show for 2 hours. My buddy Q Myers, Joe and Q, that show will no longer exist. Q Myers is going to be going to the game night show on ESPN Radio, and then Joe Fortenbaugh is basically going to be focused now more on betting on television.
Interesting that how this leverage deal came about is Rich Eisen's own show, his own entity, is not unlike the Pat McAfee show, and ESPN wanted the programming, So they have essentially licensed it. They're paying him, his production company, and he comes in and does his thing, and they put it on ESPN radio and they put it on the app, video and TV, just like the McAfee show. Some have pointed out it's going to get squashed because the McAfee show has so much more audience on the video part of it. I don't know, but they want more content. Just one more point, and then we'll move on.
The McAfee show kills it on YouTube. It is a YouTube behemoth. It is not as big on linear television, and I don't know that they're really caring about linear television. They want YouTube, TikTok, Twitter X,
right,
Instagram, and that's where the McAfee show does really well. Now, as far as Eisen, he has an audience that the question I have is, who's paying $29.99 a month to get this direct-to-consumer thing?
Right. But
not
at
me.
least,
I can tell you that
I
much.
believe the show is still also going to be on YouTube. Maybe I'm wrong and it's now an exclusive on the ESPN direct-to-consumer, but I think his show is still going to be available to be able to see it elsewhere, and you can hear it on the radio. So stay tuned.
Absolutely, and that's the thing is there's so many platforms that you can get on. Like in the past, it would be like, no, you can only be on this platform because we don't want you to be able to get it there.
Exclusive.
But who's paying $30 a month to get this show?
Well, if they've got enough live games and they've got enough different variety, I believe that they think they can make a go of it. We'll see. That's another topic for another day. Shall we keep going? Do you want to go next? What do you want to go next on UFC getting the last laugh with this new rights fee deal? Do you want to do something on that? How about Dana White and the UFC?
Well,
this was
TKO,
announced.
TKO in general. I mean, WWE and UFC are owned by the same company.
Correct.
ESPN now is on as WWE, and UFC leaves ESPN to go to Paramount Plus, which they have to be taking a bath in that deal.
Well, but let's take a closer look at it. And I think you've got a tweet that was up socially. This was announced on Friday while you were still on your European vacation. Which reminds me of Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo and the European Vacation movie from the late 80s, which is highly underrated, by the way. But nonetheless, UFC nearly an $8 billion with a B, Mike, dollar deal, $1.1 billion per year, exclusively now on Paramount Plus. That includes all of their biggest fights, all of their programming, their library, one place to find it. Those of you that have been watching it all on ESPN with the library and the shoulder programming, pre and post fight, it's now a part of Skydance, the Paramount parent company that bought it, and Paramount Plus and CBS a little bit. I mean, we already saw this when Netflix paid $5 billion for Monday Night Raw Wrestling. And now this is nearly $8 billion for the UFC. That is a huge win for Dana White and UFC. What else do you have on that?
I mean, Paramount Plus, I don't know one show on there. I have never even seen the platform. I don't know what it looks like. But UFC fans, like WWE fans, they will find their programming. And what this ensures is, if you're an NFL game or you're Peacock and you're an NBA fan, I order for the NBA season, I can then get rid of it, bring it back. You have to keep Paramount because there's an event every single week, every single month.
That's the idea.
That's the idea, is that they don't sign up, get out, sign up, get out. They have to keep the app in perpetuity. Now, $707 billion, I don't know what price you can charge that's going to make that number up. $1.1 billion a year, I don't see how they make this up.
I think it's two things. I think primarily, what do I know? Primarily, they're trying to have an exclusive, keep it from everybody else, and they realize it's bringing a younger, different audience that's going to watch all their other programming, all their other entertainment programming. They put the NFL on there. They put college sports on there. They have a bunch of different content, and again, it's an arms race on who can get the streamers to watch, and now you're bringing in the younger audience on Paramount Plus.
And what they are going to do is it's a way to, I guess, try to get some advertising on linear as well, because they are going to air some of the fights on CBS network television.
Correct. And try to bring in the younger audience. Again, we had one more here about Tom Brady. I saw this for the preseason game with the Raiders and the 49ers. You have it there on social media, I believe, as we do this live. Brady obviously is the lead analyst on Fox going into year number 2 with Kevin Burkhardt on the number 1 games. Remember, he did the Super Bowl with your Eagles winning over the Chiefs this past February. But this, I mean, look, I am fully on board with Tom Brady because he helped my Buccaneers win a Super Bowl now 5 seasons ago in 2020. It was tremendous to be around all of that and exciting. But at some point, doesn't the NFL have to say, you're a supposed neutral broadcaster, but you're walking into the Raiders game. Yes, you're a part owner, decked out like this, like you're a player. I mean, Mike, for the other teams around the league, the other owners around the league, what about this look? It's one thing if you're like in a suite, in like a sports coat in the Raiders suite during the game, but here this is almost like Tom Brady coming to come quarterback the Raiders. What do you think about this and the look?
I think in a era gone by, this would be a big deal. I don't think people care as much anymore. Do you?
I'm talking about the not so much fans. I'm talking about the other owners. I'm talking about the people that are in charge of the commissioner, in charge of his salary, his role. I'm talking about the TV partners. I mean, there's got to be some blowback. Is he a neutral broadcaster or is he an owner? He can't be both, especially if we're seeing that. Again, we showed it several times. And for the pod audience.
Is he walking into a Fox broadcast like that, or is he on his own time?
Well, it is on his own time, but it's at an NFL game. And look, it's understood he's not going to work any Raider games, but how far does this extend that he's not going to work any Charger games or any Bronco games? Or who's the other team that I'm leaving out? The Chiefs that are in that division. He's not working any of their games either because they're constantly playing the Raiders. I mean, I don't know. Again, it's one thing if he's at like a practice. Okay, he's at a practice. It's another thing if he's in a suite for the Raider preseason game or for a Monday night game. He was at the Patriots preseason game because they unveiled the statue. I didn't see him do the walk up in the Patriots garb, but he is part owner of the Raiders. I wonder if the complaining gets louder. Is he an owner or is he a broadcaster? Which is it? It's almost like he's pushing the envelope on how much I can be both. And anything else on that?
Yeah, because Fox is going to say, keep pushing the envelope as much as possible because we're not going to get rid of you.
And it gives them much more attention. It gives him attention for the brand. It gives him attention for the Raiders. Well, the Raiders thing, there's already a lot of speculation that the whole thing with he and Pete Carroll and how is it going to work if Geno Smith starts playing poorly and he wants another quarterback to play? How is all of that going to work in the dynamic? Stay tuned. Anything else? I know you've got a scooch shortly. Anything else in the sports media world that we didn't cover to this point while you've been gone, et cetera? We're getting ready for college football to start up.
College football this weekend. Desmond Howard threw a shot out there. Do you think the big noon versus college football game day is going to be a little fun, little Monday Night War here? Yeah, and obviously they're adding apparently Dave Portnoy and Barstool Sports to help them promote. They've had a very competitive last couple of years. The Fox show has gained traction. They're live at all of their games, just like Game Day is live at a certain game. It's interesting that Game Day was live at several of the games where the Big Noon show was because they were getting ready to show a Big Ten game. So that's an interesting battle. And, of course, the first game day is this weekend, weekend 0. It's in Dublin, Ireland. I've always said if Iowa State and Kansas State are playing, you might as well do it in Ireland, right? Mm-hmm. So they did this a year ago, and Georgia Tech knocked off Florida State. And Florida State never recovered in the ACC, went 2-10. So let's see what the hype is around this game and the start to the college football season. That's all coming this weekend. NFL preseason winding down. The regular season will start up soon enough. Anything else in the sports John Wall,
video?
by the way, joining NBA on Prime as an analyst. John Wall retired yesterday. He will now be an analyst all of a sudden.
What did somebody put? I saw somebody put on social media, may have been Paulie from the Dan Patrick Show, that John Wall got a $120 million contract and played fewer than 50 games. Holy crap on per game pay because of the injuries. So now he's and the NBA will be here before we know it in October with all the different broadcasts and broadcasters. Yeah. Get ready for all of that. All right. Anything else?
Yeah, last one. I know we had the Monica McNutt thing on the rundown sheet here. So everybody was going crazy about this, that she did not really – it's seemingly So I'm not really familiar.
Well, show
with
the video
guy.
while we're talking about it. While we have a half second, go ahead, everybody. If you're not familiar with this, and for the podcast audience, she was co-hosting First Take with Stephen A. Smith. They put a comedian on who I'm not familiar with, whose name is Drewski.
Yeah.
And Drewski had on a Barry Sanders jersey where he had it facing the wrong way, where it said Sanders 20 on the front of it, not the back of it, on the front of his chest. And she's looking right at him, and she's obviously completely unaware of who the great Barry Sanders is. I know she's younger, but to me, that's inexcusable. And this has been hammered and beaten to death. Where do you come down on this? Because we don't have to play the audio. You can just play the video where she's clearly unaware.
This is where, and you're right, she might be younger. Maybe she's not a football fan. I don't expect her to, like, if you're a younger non-football fan, okay, I don't know who Barry Sanders is. But this is why, her specialty, and she's good, by the way. She does a really good job talking basketball.
Right.
Let her talk basketball. Don't make her the host of a show. Don't put her out of her element. I can't stand you put an analyst. And quite frankly, I don't like when they do this with any of these guys. Like, Dan Graziano does a great job covering football. I don't need to see him be the host of Get Up. I expect Dan Graziano's credibility comes as the football guy. That doesn't mean he doesn't have credibility being the host of the show, but it opens yourself up for this to happen, and you put this poor girl in a situation where, okay, I'm not a football fan. I don't know who this guy is, and now you made me look like a fool.
She's asking him, is that your tribute to Shedeur Sanders, who never wore Honolulu blue and silver at Colorado, much less the Cleveland Browns? It was bad. It was embarrassing.
I blame the producers of First Take more than her. I mean, that's not her fault.
Yeah, but again, they promote people to positions, like you're saying, not qualified to be there at ESPN a bunch.
Not qualified to be a host of a major television show with, fans who are looking for credibility. When I look at her credibility, and she has good credibility. This isn't ripping Monica McNutt, because I think she's really good at talking basketball. She's really good at breaking down hoops, talking basketball.
She's
NBA.
A former collegiate star at Georgetown in college basketball. That's her background. Right.
And she does a really good job of talking hoops. But you put her on the set and then made her interview. Nobody wants to do those things, okay? Nobody wants to be the guy who has to interview somebody when you're crossing platforms, because you never know how it's going to go. Are they interested in it? Do they want to be there? Are they a sports fan? And then you put everybody in a bad situation. So that's where you need to have someone trained to be that person who doesn't want to be in that role but knows how to handle that role. She didn't know how to do it.
I think we know how to handle our roles, and I think you got to get out of here. You got your own show, The Sports Bash, coming up 2 to 6 Eastern Time weekdays. You hear Mike on the ESPN station in Atlantic City. Anything else, or are we good talking sports media? I think we're good.
I mean, if we had 2 hours, we could fill it. But
you got to go, and so do we. Mike, good stuff. We'll be listening to you on the radio. And again, if you're only hearing us on the podcast, come find it on Mike Gill's YouTube page, Mike Gill Show, on social media. And again, if you're seeing us, go find the podcast, Apple, Spreaker, Spotify. It's the Last Word on Sports Media podcast. Bye.